So my tip of the day, don't just grab a random kick and a random snare from like a sample pack. Spend that extra time layering your kicks, layering your hi-hats, layering your snares, putting it all together, and coming up with something that works for you. Get the sound that you want.
Facts, the evil genius.
After chopping up my samples, layering like multiple kicks, as I said, to make one kick, chopping them up, making sure there's not too much attack, there's not too much release on each of the beat, kind of keep them punchy, and make sure that if you're using multiple samples, that when you do layer them, you fine tune them so it sounds crisp on like one sample. So that's my 4 kicks layered upon each other. That's the snare I've gone for in this one. That old school Mob Deep Boom Bap snare. Nice bit of reverb on the end. And that reverby hi-hat. Again, that's layered hi-hat. It's about that's 3 different hi-hats in one there. That's my tip of the day. Layer up your beats. So when I'm making my beats, I always like to set the metronome and then start with the snare. Kind of build that framework, get it flowing, get that rhythm going, so you can kind of build out around it. All right, so let's go. Time for the kick, so we turn off the metronome, we got the snare playing, let's go. And last but not least, we'll sort out the hi-hat. So we put it on 16 levels, put it on velocity, so we get the different velocity levels here. See that? That's what really helps give us that swing. You don't want to just have a complete like one-dimensional hi-hat. You don't want to have it all on one velocity. You get no swing out of that. There's no character. It's all about the tiny little nuances of the beat that make a big difference in the end. So let's roll with it. There we go. So after a little tweaking, a little playing around, a little bit of playing with the levels, the velocity levels of the kick, again similar to the hi-hats, you don't want to have it just one standard velocity level, kind of referred to as the ghost kick. So the little like pre-kick that makes that kind of boom bap double kick. That I like to always have my first one kind of like a lighter touch on the velocity, hence why it's called the ghost kick, because it's not kind of as present. This is the beat that I end up with. So now it's time for the melody. That's that note for me. I guess like a lot of my tunes, they'll always have like on the first beat of the bar like a prominent note to like kind of bring you into the bar, and then I'll work something from that. Alright then, so let's make this a tune. Boom. All right, so we've laid that. Again, a little bit of fiddling around, a little bit of tightening it up, making sure it's kind of flowing how I want it to flow. And let's see what we ended up with. There we go. Playing around with the snare a little bit. Just use the old note repeat button. Stick it on a 16th, and then you got that nice little boom bap snare. Right, so originally that was my snare. I felt like it needed a bit more presence with the tune. Like sometimes when you're putting together the melody, you can't just like say, okay, like this was the beat that I've chosen, that's it. No, there's no mixing, there's no kind of making sure that they sync up and they fit with each other. Sometimes you've got to change the key to fit with your melody. It's all these little things, these tiny little things that make the difference between, for me, like what's someone who's just kind of like making an okay beat with taking it to another level and making like a tune that can be released. So it's tiny little details. So that was my snare. As I say, not enough hit, not enough punch to me, so I kind of played around with it. Now when it comes all together, it's the snare's a lot more prominent and really punching through. See, I think you do agree. That snare's a lot more prominent, a lot more punchy, and kind of cuts through the mix a bit more. So now it's boom bap, we need a bit of bass, right? So again, this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for I'm going to hit the 16 levels. This time instead of velocity, I'm going to do tune. So for me with the bass, what I like to do is have an 8 bar, the first 8 bar of every verse kind of bassless, no bass playing, and I always like to have it coming in on the second 8 bar. I mean, I don't always do it, but a lot of the time for me, it just, if you've got that kind of, you've got that nice bit of space for the rapper, like hit the 8 bar, and then you suddenly come in with the bass for the second half of the verse, and it emphasizes the bass more. It makes it more powerful for me. Like it just gives it more emphasis, and kind of just differentiates things so that the track doesn't get too boring. So this is what I mean. First 8 bar 3.
Defects, the evil genius.